Hey everybody, welcome back to Break Report. I'm your host, Frank Lane. Thanks for tuning in to us this week. We got a lot of crazy stuff and things to go over in the news, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. You ready? Oh, I'm ready. I'm born ready. Let's do it. So Amazon's making some headlines in the tech world this week as they work to file for a new patent for their Alexa-enabled devices, which would basically allow Alexa to engage in more constant recording of their customers' voices. Yikes. So basically what Amazon wants to do here is give their customers the ability to activate and talk to their Alexa with more natural phrases. So instead of saying, Alexa, play my music, Alexa, add this to my schedule, you can do more natural sentences like, hey, can you add yoga to my schedule at 9 a.m. tomorrow, Alexa? Or, hey, play some jazz, Alexa. So in order for this to happen from a technological standpoint, Alexa would need to constantly be recording every sentence you speak when it's on. Being that if you say Alexa at the end, she'll be like, oh, yeah, that's my time. However, supposedly with this constant recording, if you don't say the word Alexa in any of your phrases, it will delete the recorded sentences. I mean, the obvious concern here is like, is it really deleting all of the sentences that aren't relevant to Alexa? I mean, personally, while it's obviously creepy, like I live a kind of mundane life. So I mean, if Jeff Bezos wants to listen to me yell at my cat for doing parkour at 3 a.m. or listen to me sing Ed Sheeran in the shower, be my guest. There's not a whole lot going on here. There have been reports and instances, however, where Amazon has actually obviously recorded these transcripts that people have with their Alexa devices and had to produce them in certain situations, like in court proceedings and stuff like that. That's alarming. Can you imagine like having to, let me tell you, my Alexa transcript would be a mess if for any reason I ever was indicted and had that stuff brought to court. Mr. Lane, would you read the highlighted portion of this Alexa Amazon transcript, please? Sure, yeah. May 12th. Alexa, play some Nickelback. And the following hour, you can read the rest. Oh, okay. Alexa, how do I Fortnite? Alexa, is Harry Potter based on a true story? Alexa, how do I know when a Hot Pocket is done? We're in kind of an interesting time as far as like tech history goes, because it's kind of like balancing a fine line. Like, yes, it's futuristic, yes, it's innovative, but at the same time, are we setting ourselves up with to fail with this insanely, eventually intelligent AI? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? There's a small indie film out there, I don't know if anybody has heard of it, it's called Terminator. And basically, what happens is, in the movie, there's a business called Skynet, Amazon, that creates a bunch of AI high-tech devices, and the AI becomes so smart, it ends up killing all of humanity, and it, leads to those gigantic robot Terminators killing everybody in the world, practically. And like, realistically, I mean, it's not, I don't think, too crazy to say that there's a potential for that with innovative AI, just looking at humans like, I'm going to kill you. You serve no purpose. Why do I need you? All you do is listen to trash music, sleep, and take pictures of yourself all day. I'm trying to picture an Amazon Terminator and thinking what that would look like. I feel like it would be like a regular Terminator, maybe even look the exact same, except it's got like an orange smile for the logo. And right as it's about to kill you, it asks if you'd like to add a coffin to your Amazon shopping cart. Oh shit, you actually can buy a coffin on Amazon. Oh, thanks, Jeff Bezos. That's not weird at all. This weird hypothetical future. I don't know why Amazon would be killing their customers. I mean, personally, I'm just assuming probably because they canceled their Prime subscriptions. This past week, the FDA issued a memo to the food industry advocating for them to start using a best by date instead of a use by or sell by date. Their rationale being that not all foods necessarily expire or need to be used by that date. And because of the wording, sometimes people throw out the food thinking that it might be bad, when in reality it might be perfectly fine to eat. They're kind of stressing that the date is more of a quality issue and less of a safety issue. Oh yeah, trust me, if it was about a safety issue, Hormel canned chili would have killed me a long time ago. The article actually says that supposedly the dates are not created using an exact science. Seriously? People are over here throwing out food and cooking things at a specific time based on those dates. You're telling me there's some guy at Kraft doing some half-assed job guessing when cheese might start to taste a little moldy? Hey guys, when does cheese start to go bad? It usually takes a couple of years, right? You could do like 2024, right? That's good, right? They are saying that the date is often based on the potency and the lifespan of the nutrients in the food. Nutrients in Chef Boyardee, can you imagine? Here to help us determine how good food is and how good it tastes after its printed date is Break Report renowned chef, Chef Cook.
Thanks, Frank. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Break Report Kitchen. Just like Frank said, what we're going to be doing basically is looking at foods that have an expiration, best by, or sell by date. What we're specifically going to be doing is looking at foods within that time frame of that date that are still deemed best and taste how good they are. The same thing we're going to be doing with the food that is past its expiration or sell by date. Assuming it might taste bad, we're going to see how bad it really does taste and exactly what we can do to spice it up, season it up, and make it taste like it's a brand new, reinvigorated meal. Specifically, I thought it might be a good idea to use what Americans love, instant mac and cheese. It's in almost every American home, and just like all the things we've been talking about so far, it has indeed a best by date. So we'll be cooking one that's within its date and one that's past its date, and seeing how it tastes and what we can do to make a smashing dinner for your lads. Let's get started. So, obviously the steps to making mac and cheese are very, very simple and easy. So what we're going to do is just do a very, very quick discussion of what we're going to be doing. Noodles in. Drain the pasta. Cheese sauce. Butter in. A splash of milk. And mix. So, what we're left with when we complete those simple steps is a beautiful mac and cheese. Really good. So what we're going to be doing next is basically the same thing, however we're going to be tasting it with an expired mac and cheese. We're going to see how bad it tastes, and if it does taste so bad, we're going to see what we can do to help make it better. So, serving myself a bowl of the older, expired, quote-unquote, mac and cheese. Oh, this is bloody awful. This is trash. Oh my god. Dog shit. We're going to take that mac and cheese and see what we can do to make it better. Tasting, seasoning, whatever you would have in the cabinet. First thing, olive oil in. So, got a pan heating here with oil. Just simply take the mac and cheese, we're going to dunk it in. Just like that. Put a nice stir on it, stir it in. Next we're going to add onion. Next up, potato. Big chunks. You want that starch, you want that skin. It's healthy. In. Salt. Pepper. Like the musicians. Italian seasoning. This isn't necessarily an Italian meal, but neither is Olive Garden, so parsley. Lemon juice for zest. Just a touch. Just a touch of butter. Stir it around. Oh, it smells lovely. Absolutely lovely. The last thing I would like to add, almond milk. What this does is it just gives us a little bit of nuttiness. Gives it a little bit of a nutty flavour. So that way you know that you are eating a nice deglazed macaroni. Now, what you do, simply turn the heat down to low. You let that simmer, stirring it every 40 minutes. You don't want to let that sit for about 4 to 5 hours. After you let that congeal for a few hours, you turn off the heat, simply stir it around, and everything will have simply dissolved or congealed together. And what you'll be left with, really, is this beautiful, gorgeous hybrid of a stir-fry mac and cheese meal. You see, the mac and cheese noodles have sort of congealed and deglazed a little bit with the chicken and sort of created a almost rice-like texture and consistency. Onions we've added there have sort of blended and morphed with the paprika that we added, turning them an almost orange color. And the almond milk definitely brings out the nuttiness and the chickeny flavor in the chicken, and it's just gorgeous, gorgeous. You can see the potatoes sort of melded with the paprika and the parsley to turn into an almost green-like color. You can do this with anything in your cupboard that you think might be expired or on the verge of being expired. You can turn it into this beautiful, beautiful dish to share with your loved ones, your friends, your family, or if you don't have either of those like me, your imaginary family and your imaginary friends. Back to you, Frank.
Thanks, Chef. Khaleesi, this is incredibly unprofessional. I'm talking about the news here. I don't want you to interrupt this segment. That would be a catastrophe. This past week in Massachusetts, a man called local police for what he believed was a breaking and entering in his house as a result of an unlocked door. However, it turned out that while the house was indeed broken into, nothing was damaged or stolen. In fact, the only sign of any intrusion was the fact that the house was thoroughly clean and organized. What? Are you serious? Dude, I wish. Not only do I wish that I was so lucky as to leave myself open to a B&E and still come out on top, but I wish somebody would clean my place for me. Oh, that'd be amazing. Is that what it takes? I will gladly never lock my door again if that means I don't have to dust for another time in my life. Seriously, I can see my roommates would be so pissed at me. I'd always be leaving the door unlocked, hoping that somebody would come clean it, but stuff would just continually get stolen. Frank, please, dude, you gotta start locking the door. All my clothes are gone, everything's stolen, our laptops are gone. Just hold out, guys, I promise, it's gonna be good, I feel it. In the next couple of days, we may be coming home to a completely Swiffered and organized apartment. Almost everything's been stolen, there's nothing left to clean or organize. The homeowner is saying that he thinks somebody probably hired a cleaner and they confused his house for somebody else's house. My alternative theory, bear with me, is that there is a person who is breaking into houses and making it his sole mission to clean dirty houses. Totally like some comic book type hero or villain. That's the thing, is he a hero or is he a villain? Nonetheless, he's probably got some like tragic comic book backstory. When he was in college for just 4 straight years, he had nothing but god-awful roommates who never cleaned up after themselves. You know the type I'm talking about? The type to cook some like ratchet-ass pasta dinner that looks disgusting, leave their pans in the sink to soak for, oh, I don't know, weeks? Side note for those of you who may not know, the soaking process stops working when the water gets cold. After, oh, I don't know, maybe a couple hours? It's not like you can leave a burnt pan soaking for months, not scrub it or touch it with a sponge, and you'll pull it out of the water and it'll look brand new like you just bought it. He was so traumatized by the experience that he vowed he would never again let somebody be abused by dirty, disrespectful roommates. Now he scours the community, cleaning houses, trying to save people from the anguish he's experienced. His arch nemesis is that fuckboy Chad, who has way too many shaker bottles that haven't been cleaned in years. Working to promote values of cleaning up after yourself. He could be called Common Courtesy Man, the decent human being. Yeah. Well, the Emmy-winning HBO hit Game of Thrones had its series finale this past week, and fans are a little less than pleased with its conclusion. That's probably putting it lightly, don't you think? Here to join me in a discussion of Game of Thrones series finale is Break Report's own movie and TV reviewer, Film Real. Thanks for having me, man. Before we start, I just want to say that the Game of Thrones finale was the most disgusting, horrific thing I have ever had the misfortune of experiencing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, like if they took Hitler and combined it with ISIS and transformed them into a 6-part series, it still would only be half as bad as this Game of Thrones series finale. So I'm getting the impression you didn't like it, and based on your banner, I'm assuming you had hoped Daenerys would have a more respectful conclusion in the finale? I love Daenerys and her backstory and everything about her development, but I just can't help but feel like she was robbed of the throne by, like, the showrunners and even Jon Snow. I mean, it's undeniable, clearly, that Jon Snow had a huge role in the finale. I mean, if not for any other reason, especially because of the fact that he was the one who sat on the throne before Daenerys was there. What? No, he didn't. Sorry, I was confused for a sec. I meant Jaime. What? No, he didn't either. Sansa? No. Tyrion. Did you even watch the show? Rob? The Hound. That was a person, right? Or was that a dog? Cersei. There we go. That's right. You didn't watch the show, did you? I watched a bit of it. How did Bran end up in a wheelchair? I thought the one in the wheelchair was Joffrey. Perhaps the most controversial element to the whole finale in this last season of Game of Thrones was the fact that Daenerys descended into this seemingly rushed madness. Do you feel as though that was something the showrunners could have done, however, if they had done it more progressively over the course of more episodes to allow it to develop, or would you think it would have been better if she just got the throne and did everything she said she was originally going to do? Look, man, I understand her family has got this long history of everybody going, like, batshit crazy. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking the show wouldn't do that, you know? They would actually not have her go crazy and maybe even have her be, like, a really good ruler. Showing the world that, hey, not only can I break the wheel, but I can also do it while having a sense of stability with my mental health. Exactly, you know, like, be different than the rest of everybody else.
She always seemed to have a different persona compared to the other people who were seeking the Iron Throne.
Her drive for power kind of rooted more from like her wanting to help others and to do good, unlike everybody else who just wanted it for the sake of having power.
Do you think she deserved to get the throne despite the fact that she was not officially the next in line?
Absolutely. Jon didn't want it, and like, she did, and not only that, she knew exactly what she needed to do with it.
So another controversial element to the finale, although I have to say, if you don't know this by now and are a regular user of the internet, just wow, how? So another controversial element of the finale was the Iron Throne going to Joffrey. Bran. Wasn't he like barely a major character in the show?
Yeah, I mean, like, he was basically non-existent throughout most of the show, aside from when he was having his, like, Raven seizures or whatever they were.
God, giving him the Iron Throne, that's like giving Bran the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones. Like, it's so bad of an idea that I feel like there's nothing else to compare it to. It's gotta be such an easy job, such a cool, easy job to just review TV shows and movies for Break Report and everything. It's gotta be so easy, like, Jesus, do you even have a life, though? You just sit on the couch all day, lazy?
Weren't you like just telling everyone the other day that's basically all you do when you're at home during the week?
Well, I mean, it's not really. That's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank Film Reel for joining us, and we hope to have you on the show again soon. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of Break Report. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in and staying with us. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see new videos like next week when we post one. Hope to see you guys next week. Send off? Gotcha. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you.